A cricket match, right? You see how the commentator behaves. The commentator is describing everything. And Rohit Sharma comes onto the field and then he does this with the bat, and yeah, it's a six, and this one is running, that one is
Oh my
running.
God.
Try to substitute your thoughts in English. You will find it a little more difficult than describing your surroundings. Right? Like suppose you're eating idli and the idli is very soft. You say, why is this idli soft? Slightly different. Like if you have to describe why something happens, you'll actually sometimes get into more abstract nouns.
Why the idli is so soft, it might be very difficult for me to explain.
Fried, it is steamed. So
Yeah, I
you come across
know that.
these words, कि वो fried,
Yes,
steamed, or you can
yes.
say the
That
batter is very the batter is basically उसका जो वो घोल होता
ferment,
है. हाँ,
fermented.
it's fermented. So some new. I have a friend. He is a doctor. Right? That's correct English. Right? But somebody who's more advanced will say, I have a friend who's a doctor. Say, if I had known it is going to rain, I would have carried my umbrella. Complexity. उसको आप simple कर दोगे तो you're doing चोरी. आप पूरा काम कर नहीं रहे हो. है ना?
Did all my studies in Hindi. For example, in science subject, you might have heard about energy. We heard it urja. So like
Right.
sometimes it's really difficult to understand those words. You're looking beautiful today.
Thank you.
There's a different shining on your face today.
Acha, no, I think I have done some adjustment of brightness on the screen. I think so. That's the difference.
Great. So how are you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. How are you, Karishma?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I think today we are going to discuss some interesting topic, which is very helpful for the basic English learners or beginners especially.
About how to train your brain to think in English. And I think this is definitely something that beginners face a lot of difficulty in, but I've met a lot of intermediate speakers also who can speak in English, but they also feel that they can't think in English. So they are, taking the time to translate while they know the English, but they don't feel like it comes out naturally. Their thinking process is not in English. So some words or some sentence structures sound weird when you translate it. So I think beginners and intermediate users both suffer from this problem. So we'll talk about that today.
So like before moving ahead, let's start with the introduction for like my new viewers. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I'm Anushri Goenka. I run a company based out of Bangalore, and now I partly spend time in Gurgaon. The company I run is called Sparky AI. Sparky is a AI friend for spoken English fluency for learners like the viewers who watch your channel. These are people who want more practice in speaking English. They want a companion. They want somebody who can give them feedback. They want someone who can talk about very many different things to them with. So Sparky is built for users like that. And that's the company I run. My background is I'm a computer science engineer. I'm an MBA. I have about 14 years of work experience. I've worked in many different industries, and now I run my own company.
That's great. Amazing. Good to know about you. As you have said that this is the problem of intermediate people. So yeah, now I got to know because sometimes it happens with me as well. Sometimes something when I'm talking about which is like unique something, or if I'm talking first time about something, I feel stuck, or sometimes I need to think a lot in my mind. So yeah, that's true that it's the problem of all kind of people, not only the beginners.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how we can work on it?
Yeah, so I think the way I structured my thoughts around the tips for this thing is to start with something that is basic and to go to something that is a little more advanced. So your viewers can decide for themselves what are the right ones for them. If some of the later ones seem difficult for them, they can skip it. But I'll start with the most easy and the most critical ones, right? The most crucial ones. So the first is you have to immerse yourself, right? The word immerse means ki be completely surrounded, right? Like if you immerse yourself in water, if you go into a swimming pool, that is immersing yourself in water, right? You're head to toe, you're in water, right? That is what immersion means, right? So you have to immerse yourself in English, which means it needs to be around you. You cannot be the only person who is thinking or trying to talk in English. If your environment doesn't support it, it becomes much harder to become natural at it, right? So by immersion, what can you do? It doesn't mean you can change the people around you, but what you can do is surround yourself with at least media in English. So media can be English newspapers, watch something on English, listen to some English music, listen to some podcast. You might be interested in anything. You might be interested in cooking, in understanding more about health, understanding more about finance. Whatever your interest is, try to pick up one podcast or something where you try to learn about that topic in English, right? Watch something for entertainment in English, read something like a newspaper or current affairs or something in English, right? So you immerse your, if you can find friends to speak with, nothing like it, do that also. But if you can't find it, at least these things you can do very easily, right? And find, if you can find a practice partner where you're not only trying and speaking in your mind or in front of a mirror, but someone who you want to become better at spontaneous conversation. Spontaneous
Hmm.
conversation means कि एकदम हाथों
Right,
हाथ
right.
अपने माइंड में आ जा रहा है करते करते. It's
Yes.
unplanned, it is on the spot. So on the spot you can only do when you're with somebody else. Otherwise, so you're planning. If you're doing it alone, you're planning it, today I will say this in English, right? But when it
Yes.
is in conversation in front of someone, then you have to also respond, and they might say something which you have not planned for, right? That is where your thinking in English will come into use, and you will also be able to understand कि कितना हो रहा है कितना नहीं हो रहा है आपसे, right? So in the maybe here, Karishma, you can ask if for a companion we can do a Sparky demo, and then I can move ahead.
Sure, sure. Let's see the demo first and then we can go.
Yeah. So for a companion, Sparky works very well to practice with. The good thing is that if you practice with, somebody who's not very good at English, then you don't get proper feedback and you don't get new learnings from them. With Sparky, we'll show you in the demo. It will also give you feedback. You can also learn new things of how is Sparky saying something, how is Sparky pronouncing something, what words is Sparky using, right? So you can pick up grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation by even listening to someone who speaks properly. We'll do the demo.
Yes, yes.
Introducing Sparky, your voice first AI friend for building spoken English fluency. Sparky is a friendly fox you can speak in English with even if you don't speak well. Sparky gently corrects you and also shares feedback on everything you say.
I did not got invited for my friend's birthday and I'm very sad. I didn't knew she did not want to be friends with me.
Oh no, I'm
Each conversation is designed to give you practice on specific language concepts or topics relevant to your life. Sparky keeps the conversation going so it never gets boring and helps and supports learners. If you're stuck for words, Sparky suggests what you could say. If you don't understand something Sparky said, you can easily see the meaning and even translate it to a language of your choice. Want to hear something again? You can just hit replay. You can also choose the accent and speed for Sparky's voice.
Hello. Would you like me to speak faster or slower or in a different style?
Over time, it creates your personalized learning path to give you more practice on the specific mistakes that you make. If you don't feel like always talking, you can try out some fun interactive games designed to build vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. You can also read stories and articles with Sparky, and Sparky will highlight the mispronounced words in red. Users see Sparky as a friend and enjoy talking to it.
I want to share a few things with you. Like in friendship, I always try to put my efforts in my all possible best ways. Then also, I am always being treated like an option. What to do about it?
Very soon, underconfident, struggling learners gain confidence, get over the stress and embarrassment, and begin to have meaningful conversations about things important to them. This
Cool. I think the second, it's sort of like, setting yourself some tasks. Ki these are the things I will do so that I get to a place where I can think in English, right? I think a very simple one is to describe or narrate. And you can do it like, just think, choose for yourself what you want. You can do morning and night, or you can do every time I enter some room, or every time I enter office, or some, just build some, regularity into your routine. In the morning, I will describe what my day to day will be. I am going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to study, I'm going to meet a friend, I will take the bus from here to there, whatever. Say as much as you can, in as much detail as you can. At night, you can again say what you did today, right? So this describing is basically when you are lacking content. कि what should I talk about? I want to get fluent in English, but कुछ होना चाहिए बात करने के लिए. So that what comes from your normal life, right? You can also describe things you're seeing. Like if you've seen a cricket match, right? You see how the commentator behaves. The commentator is describing everything. And Rohit Sharma comes onto the field and then he does this with the bat, and yeah, it's a six, and this one is running, that one is
Oh my
running.
God.
Right? So he's describing the whole thing. If that thing, if you were not seeing it yourself, just by hearing it, you would actually be able to imagine what is happening. Right? So can you describe whatever, right? You describe that, my husband is entering the house, he has, parked his car there, and then he has got something, he's got a box of laddus today, and we are going to sit and have dinner, whatever, something, right? You
Okay.
describe the whole thing. That becomes very easy
Right.
inputs of content to talk about. And because you're describing things in your day or in your surroundings, the vocabulary is easy for you because you know the vocabulary. It's usually not going to be something that is very alien to you, right? You know what things are in your house, you know what activities you and your family do, right? Those words are known to you. So this is a way to sort of start with some easy things, and then you can go to harder things, right? Uh, yeah. The third is, do this with your thoughts also. Thoughts is a little more difficult. Surroundings and happenings are easier. Thoughts are more difficult because sometimes you have thoughts or feelings which you have not put any words to, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what that feeling itself is.
Exactly.
When you try to put it into words, then that's a slightly harder thing. But try to just substitute your thoughts. You're thinking in whatever language, right? Like maybe you have a different native language. You're thinking in Hindi, you're thinking in Gujarati, whatever. Try to notice what your thought is. Sometimes, always you can't do it. Okay, I just thought of this, and now I'm going to say the same thing in English, right? So you could have thought of, I really need to buy a new dress because this wedding is coming up, and what am I going to wear? But it's going to be winter, so I have to buy something that is going to, whatever, right? Something, right? So try to substitute your thoughts in English. You will find it a little more difficult than describing your surroundings, right? Uh, then another thing that I feel brings out new concepts or new vocabularies or new things which you're not used to speaking is asking why. Just like with anything, ask a question which is a why. Like suppose you're eating idli and the idli is very soft. You say, why is this idli soft? Can you answer that in English? Right?
Oh my
So
God. That's difficult.
basically, you're going from things that are very familiar to you. If you describe your house, things are very familiar to you, right? Then you're going to something that is one level less familiar. Then you're going to some one level even less familiar. So you get to new ground. You're increasing the surface area of what you know. So if you ask why, now you can ask why about, I'm feeling very tired. And you're like, why am I feeling very tired? Then you'll say something, oh, last night I didn't sleep very well and I was whatever, something. So asking these why questions becomes also things to dig further, to take the happenings, take the events or the things in your surroundings to go one level deeper or to go one level, slightly different. Like if you have to describe why something happens, you'll actually sometimes get into more abstract nouns, right? The things around you are mostly common nouns: chair, table, photo frame, scooter, car. These are common nouns. Then you will get into abstract nouns when you get into your thoughts and when you get into why. Like I really liked meeting this, my friend's whatever cousin had also come. And I really like meeting her. Why did I really like meeting her? Now you have to describe slightly different things. She was very caring. She was very jovial. She did this. Whatever. You'll come up to some new vocabulary in your own English knowledge that you will bring out. So
That
try.
might be difficult because normal surrounding we can speak very naturally, but when it comes to asking why, as you have asked, why the idli is so soft, it might be very difficult for me to explain to me like why it is so difficult. I might come across few difficult words or vocabulary also, and I
So
think
you
that
can
will
think of,
really help.
because it is not fried, it is steamed. So you come
Yeah, I
you come across
know.
these words कि वो fried,
Yes,
steamed, or you can
yes.
say the
That
batter is very the batter is basically उसका जो वो घोल होता
ferment,
है. हाँ,
fermented.
it's fermented. So some new words
It's
which you are not,
difficult actually. Yeah.
so you're not normally using those things, that it brings you to that level of adjacent vocabulary कि जो आपकी लाइफ में है उसे एक level adjacent आप और जाओ. So you can try that. Then I think there are some new, as you surround yourself with media, you talk to people, or you're reading something, or you're watching something, you will sometimes discover new sentence structures which you typically don't use. Now, you'll have to be a little observant to find it, right? So, for example, a beginner will say something like, I have a friend, he is a doctor, right? That's correct English, right? But somebody who's more advanced will say, I have a friend who's a doctor, right? I will not say, I have a friend, he is a doctor. I'll say, I have a friend who's a doctor. Or you'll say, one of my friends is a doctor, right? Slightly different sentence structures, but when you come across these slightly different sentence structures, try to note them down. Whatever seems new for you, and that will be different for each person, but whatever seems new for you, try to note that down and try to think of this structure can be used for what else. I have a dress that is blue. Instead of saying, I have a dress, it is blue. Or, the same sentence structure that you're trying to now apply in many ways. So it's a great idea to note down some sentence structures, because typically those are also things which will tell you what is it that you don't know from a grammar point of view. Right. So, for example, tenses is my favorite. I think people do a lot of mistakes in tenses, right? And especially some past perfect is a very difficult tense. So, for example, you'll say, if I had known it is going to rain, I would have carried my umbrella. This is not an easy sentence for many,
Yes.
beginners to say. They would say, "Oh, I didn't know it would rain." Huh? Or they would say, I didn't know rain is there. Or, they're trying to figure out, it would rain. It would rain
They
is
will
a,
say in very simple language, like, oh my God,
yes.
I forgot my umbrella. They will simply say this instead of explaining the whole scenario. They end up saying simple things.
But if they were speaking in the native language, they would not simplify. They would say the whole thing. That's why when you're translating or when you're, observing your thoughts and saying the same thing in English, it is important to say it with equal complexity. उसको आप simple कर दोगे तो you're doing चोरी. आप पूरा काम कर नहीं रहे हो. है ना?
True. Right.
तो जैसे there was, like you said, right? Someone was just saying in Hindi they will say very comfortable कि मुझे नहीं पता था बारिश होने वाली है, पता होता तो मैं लेके आती थी umbrella. Right? Now this whole thing, if you want to say in English, it's not as simple as saying I forgot my umbrella. Right?
Right.
So if you try to say the same thing, then you're basically pushing yourself to communicate more complex ideas, to communicate more nuance. जो बोलते हैं nuance is तो उसका detail, right? कि सिर्फ outline नहीं बनाना है, उसका अंदर color भर के, like you have to make it rich. So so be true to yourself when you're trying to say something in English. Say it with the depth and the whole complexity that you wanted to say. And if there are places where you feel like, at this point I switched. Till here I was okay to do English, but at this point, then I switched to my comfortable language, whatever that is, right? Notice what that point was. कि आप किस चीज के बारे में it became difficult for you. What type of thing was difficult for you, so you can practice that type of thing, right? So I think those are some of the easy tips, but if you do it a little more rigorously, if you do it every day, I think there is no supplement for regular practice. There's no supplement for daily sort of rigor of becoming comfortable. Right? उसका आप कुछ नहीं पढ़ सकते हो जो आपको practice को replace कर देगा.
That's true. I think
Yeah.
I can completely resonate with the point, the last point which you have mentioned about the complexity, that this is how we have to say it in English. But most of the time it happens with me, being a like intermediate learner. I feel that it's very difficult for me to say the complete line, especially when it is about the past tense. Like it's still difficult. So,
Hmm.
but yes, regular practice is really important. I think but you know what the problem is? Because when I'm talking to somebody in my surroundings, or even like I'm talking to you, maybe I'm talking to other learners, we both are not talking about those past incidents. So I'm not able to, I'm not habitual of using these sentences very frequently. That is
Yeah.
one of the major reason that I'm not improving in that particular category. I can say that. And
Yeah.
I have seen many people, they stuck with the past tense. It's
Hmm.
very like common for the people to make mistakes while they speak about past. Like जो चीज हो चुकी है, or especially that conditional sentences also I have seen that
Yes,
people are
yes.
facing
I
a lot
think
of problems
conditional
with.
definitely is a more complicated thing to say.
So
Yeah.
इसके लिए तो I think मैं separately we need to work like I think we have to work differently on this proper
Yeah.
particular issue. We cannot solve it with the regular normal conversation, because in day-to-day conversation we are not going to talk or discuss these kind of complex sentences. So we have to, I think, as you have mentioned, Sparky, we should spatially practice with this particular topic
Yeah.
with Sparky. It can help a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And I think even like you said, right, ki these are not things that you normally talk about, but what you can do if you are practicing with somebody, try to decide that today we will talk about these types of things. So we will maybe you talk about the past, you'll talk about certain one is talk about the past as a story. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, right? That is simple past. But if you try to
Yes.
explain logic of the past, why did you choose to marry the man you married? At that time, what were you thinking? What was your life like? Like there is some logic and complexity कि ऐसा था इसीलिए ऐसा था. Like there's some dependency कि because of this, therefore this. Or
This
like
happened,
why did you
yes.
take this job? How anything. Something that is a decision or something that is a complicated concept from the past. If you pick that up instead of just saying, A happened, B happened, C happened, D happened. Describe how you were thinking at that point, why you did what you did, why someone else did, why your action was dependent on someone else's action. If you pick up some of that type of topic, then you will get some more exposure to do that. I think another thing which uh, you can do, and I think that is helpful, but it is extra sort of work, so I didn't mention it. But suppose you are a Hindi speaker, right, or whatever language, pick up some good, Hindi literature, something that you're
Okay.
comfortable in, right? So you read a say Hindi पढ़ रहा हो, प्रेमचंद की कहानी पढ़ो, and you read 2 3 lines in Hindi and then you say it in English. And why I'm saying that is because if you that is something you're comfortable with, these if you read good authors or good stories or good newspapers, they will write more complicated things. They will not give the simplest structure, right? Now you will have some complex thing to then convert it into English, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, you can do 2 3 line by 2 3 line. That is better. Not you can also do it the other way. कि you read the whole story and then you tell the whole story in English. But then what you will do is you will simplify it. जब आप पूरी story पढ़ के then you will tell someone ना you will lose half the details. You will
Yes.
not describe half the thing. Like suppose maybe it has a line जो it is describing the sky कि ऐसे बादल थे और ये था और वो था. आप वो पूरा भूल जाओगे if you are going to say the whole story, right? Now,
Yes.
but if you do it couple of lines by couple or one line by one line, you will read the and maybe we should do this next time. I mean, some other conversation. We'll pick up some Hindi text, or you can tell me what your readers read. We'll pick up some Hindi text, and I will do one line, and you do one line. I'll do one line, and you do one line, right? So we'll see how we are able to come up with the vocabulary that in Hindi we have understood that complicated uh, idea, and can we come up with the vocabulary to say that same complicated idea in that same level of detail, but in English.
That's true. And as you have mentioned in the beginning, that we have different ways to say one single line in different ways. Like for basic person, simple. can say one line, but advanced speaker, they modify the same and they give the same line with different manner. So
Hmm.
for that, I think I am reading these things like basic English versus advanced English. Like I try to read few sentences which are in basic language, and then I've seen the advanced version of them. So most of the time, it's about the vocabulary. They extend the vocabulary one level ahead, or
Hmm.
sometimes they replace few words like the synonyms, as I can say that they use that. So I
Yeah.
think that is like quite effective. And this is the same thing, like you have said, that read in Hindi and then translate to English. This is the same thing. And most of the time we tend to make mistakes in this particular thing. Like we try to transfer in the same way like we speak in Hindi. Like for the people like me, because I am from Hindi medium, there are many words which I don't even know in English because I have completed all my studies in Hindi. For example, in science subject, you might have heard about energy. We heard
Hmm.
it urja. So like
Right.
sometimes it's really difficult to understand those words. And if you want to learn those complex words, you must have to do it like um, you have to make a plan for learning it. You cannot learn it by day to day conversation because those vocabulary you never know.
Doesn't come
And
in your normal.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think
so
there are both ways to do it. If you are a beginner, I would say don't worry so much. If something doesn't come in your normal conversation, that is the next step. Don't worry about it right now. First, be more comfortable and conversant in the day-to-day things about your
yes,
life, your job, your city, right? Next level, if you're going to advance, then that's why try to go one level out, one level out, one level out from where you are, and so your level of comfort will
but
continue.
what I also feel is that day to day English is not that difficult. Like people say it's very difficult. I don't think that day to day English is difficult because even in our day to day life, we speak so many English words while communicating in Hindi as well. And that's like
Yes,
we don't even know the Hindi proper word for them most of the
yes,
time. जैसे
yes.
like बात कर रहे हैं you don't understand मतलब समझ
Uh,
नहीं आ रहा है तो understand नहीं कर रहे like we are using so many words, so English is not at all difficult if you want to communicate, but yes, it is difficult if you want to master it. If you want to use it on professional level, it is difficult. You have to work really hard for that. And I think Sparky is one stop solution for those who are struggling with this problem. And if you want to upgrade the level of your English, you want to level up your English, Sparky is the best buddy. It's very convenient, nominal price. 24 by 7 is available. Even sometimes I do my practice with Sparky also. My son also doing it. And it's really an amazing application for the people who really want to improve English skills. Yeah.
so try it out, and if you have any feedback for us, what are other things that you would want Sparky to have? If there are some things that you think currently the app does not have, but it will help you, please let us know in comments. We are constantly releasing new features. We'll be very happy to build something that makes it even more useful for your learners.
And yeah, I'll mention the link in the description box. You can check it out and download it. It is free for download. You can use it for few minutes. It's again free. And if you like it, then you can go for the subscription, which is very nominal, around like 500 for 6 months. So it's very
Yeah.
nominal. Yeah.
You can also take a shorter pack if you don't want to pay 500, you can pay, just take for 1 month. But I think definitely try it and try to be regular. If you do it, there are people who sometimes lose that, rigor. So try to keep that discipline on and be regular with it. You'll see the most impact if you do that.
That's great. It's an amazing, wonderful session for the learners. And I hope the next time we will do the practice which you have mentioned now.
Yes, yes,
And
I'll think of that and I'll keep it ready, Karishma.
sure.
I'll get some very interesting Hindi things
Yeah, I
to,
will learn
to
a lot.
translate. I'll challenge you, you challenge me.
It would be a class for me because I am really facing difficulties in those. And I let's see what happens. We'll do it.
Okay. All
Okay
right.
then.
Bye. See you.
Okay, bye bye.